Hey folks, welcome back. Thanks again for joining us. I'm very excited for you guys to check this out, and I'm even more excited to hear what you guys have to say about this because it definitely warrants some input, some comment, and probably some sharing. So it starts out with a little recap of footage we got in June of this year of an LAPD helicopter because it's very relevant to the balance of the presentation. So anyway, I don't want to talk your ear off on this one. The footage speaks for itself. Check it out and we'll talk to you on the other side. Thanks. All right, so this is in real speed, and I know you can't see anything. It's fine. Don't worry about it. We're going to get closer and slow it down. This was from June of 2024, like I just mentioned. But you see here, this thing flew right in front of the cockpit of this LAPD chopper. We're going to get in closer, and you're going to see it comes in, and you can also look at the rotor blades to tell you how fast this thing is going, right? And so these are the three seminal frames of this capture. This one right here, where it's right in front of the cockpit, and then all of a sudden it's gone. You can't see it because it's on the other side, and then it reappears over here on the left. So this is very good evidence that this thing was up there in space with the helicopter as opposed to right in front of the camera like people tend to think. Anyway, I'm showing you this because we caught something similar but with a twist. Now check this out. You see this thing in the top right? It comes down toward the helicopter here, and you see it right there in front of the rotor blade or right near it. And I'm going to say that a few times, just, like as a point of reference. So check this out. It comes down from the right, it's right there by the rotor blade, and then you hit play and it keeps going. And you can see the rotor speed again, just like the LAPD footage. So here it is, comes over, it's right in front of the blade. You hit play and then it disappears. And you'd think that you'd see it somewhere over here, right? It'd be somewhere around there, but it's not. And I know why it's not. I'm going to show you right now. It reappears below the helicopter right here and shoots down. It literally comes from the top right and takes this hard turn down. Uh, and I'm going to show you why it does that because I know you're wondering. It's because it acquired a new target. Look at this. Yeah, man, this is bananas. I mean, this happened. This thing targeted a human being. And again, it comes from up here. It goes down. It's by the rotors, and you can see the speed of the rotor blades. This thing is hauling. This thing's moving so fast. And the next thing you know, it's down here. And then it just banks back, comes back, hits up this dude, and then takes off again. And I cannot, with words, describe how fast this occurs. So we're going to slowly work back to real speed and real distance, and then we're going to watch it zoomed in, but also at real speed. And that's because it's so cartoonishly fast and difficult to see. But yeah, here it is. Check it out at real speed and real distance. Now it's at real speed, but zoomed in. Check this out. So not only do we have evidence of this thing going behind the helicopter, like we started out with the LAPD footage, but it's going at a speed that is just ridiculous, and then it demonstrates maneuverability. But then, most notably, it demonstrates an interest in a human. And I guarantee you that human had no clue that happened. I mean, this happened so fast. I mean, there are so many implications and so many conversations that are required now that we see something like this on camera. It's just crazy. And we're going to end here, but I just want to point out this too, and I'm going to pause it here to show you. This thing is the quintessential look with this amorphous border and its sort of plasma orbish perimeter. It's exactly what we see all the time. And now they're approaching people. You know, I just said, okay, and now, they're approaching humans or whatever. I shouldn't say now. I don't know that they haven't been doing this all along. I mean, I know that in April, something buzzed me and I caught it on camera and I didn't see it at the time, but I felt it and I didn't like it. It felt like an assault. I felt the energy of it and it happened so fast that before I could even realize what had happened, it was already over. Um, Anyway, the point is, I don't know that this is new behavior. I think we're just seeing it, and I just happened to catch something. on footage that wasn't even mine. And by the way, the link is in the description. So you check this guy's channel out, and it's the link to the specific footage too. And it's at the 38 to 39-second mark of the footage. So literally go watch it for yourself, scrub through it, and get in the comments and I don't know, let's have at it, try to figure it out and see what we can come up with. Anyway, thanks for your time. I hope you enjoyed this one. Like I said, I look forward to hearing about it in the comments. And like I always say, please share it with other people you think might enjoy it. And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks, folks.
So in this footage, that dragon stays behind the helicopter for 3 frames. And he gives you 2 examples where it's behind the helicopter, which disproves anyone who would want to tend to say flies and gnats. I received a comment like that just a few days ago on a dragon video with these fast mover UAPs, micro drones, whatever you want to call them. And just another person saying, oh no, it's bugs and birds and flies and gnats, which is logical and reasonable for the first 5 or 10 times that you see it, but after so many times, it's just a form of denial and a defense mechanism, like a mental immune system that kicks in when it detects a foreign substance in the body of your psyche, of your self-image and worldview. It attacks that foreign substance with antibodies. Anything to normalize it, minimize it, and squeeze it back in between the bookends of my known reality so I don't have to expand. Because adaptation has 2 forms, assimilation or accommodation. And if this is just bugs and birds and gnats and flies, then that assimilates right into my paradigm. But if it's not, then I have to accommodate. And that causes the person a feeling of distress, a mental and emotional pain and suffering, anxiety, distress. Like that of a teenager who's growing into a new world. We're at childhood's end. And between Latchkey Hustle and Custodian files, I've seen at least 20 or 30 different versions where these things go behind the helicopter, proving that it's not something up close to the camera. And like I said, that's logical and reasonable for the first few times to assume that it's something from within your known world. Eventually, you have to accept this is something that is not from within your known world. And regarding it buzzing a person, I saw a video by Custodian Files where a guy's just filming like at the beach, or maybe it was at an air show, but he's not pointing the camera up in the sky, he's pointing the camera at eye level at all the other people walking around. And one of these things flies in between 2 people. One person that was like 20 foot away from him and the other that's like 100 feet away from him. And you can see it goes behind the one guy but in front of the other guy. And Custodian Files says, I don't like the idea these things get too close. They probably emit some radiation that's probably not good for us. But the bottom line is, who controls the dragons controls the world, and the UFO sightings are off the chart, increasing exponentially every day with just a couple of UFO channels that I watch, Mavi, UFO Alarm, and Third Phase of Moon, and 1 or 2 others. You can see that the UFO sightings are increasing exponentially every day, and they are trying to do this in order to transition us between worlds with as least shock as possible. I call them increased exposure experiences, and it's happening at a rate that pretty soon you can graph this out on a chart as the current acceleration rate of sightings. You can graph out how long until every person on the face of the earth has seen these things, and how long until every person sees them on a daily basis at the current rate of increase. And that's not calculating in any greater rate of increase. So the disclosure is happening right now, a de facto disclosure. Everyone's waiting for disclosure de jure, where the officials come out and say, yes, you guys, there's non-human intelligences operating these craft. Right now, they're telling us that these drone swarms are cruising around in our restricted airspace over our Air Force bases, but we're not shooting at them because they haven't demonstrated any hostilities. Because they don't want to tell you that we're powerless over them, And their technology is so far beyond ours, it makes us look ridiculously weak. We got weak sauce with our bullets and bombs and missiles. With what they're rocking, we're primitive Stone Age people. And this technology dislodges our entire worldwide economy. The petrodollar goes away along with roads. You no longer need roads. You no longer need power lines. There's so many parts of our infrastructure and our economy that this technology would completely replace and make obsolete, that the powers that be that get rich off selling us electricity when you can tap into the environment and draw it from the ether, who get rich off selling us oil-based products and combustion engines, don't want this technology out, but apparently they don't have a choice anymore. Apparently, whoever's actually operating these drones or dragons or whatever you want to call them is disclosing themselves against the will of the power brokers who want to keep this stuff under wraps. And I just hope that you guys that keep saying gnats and flies and bugs and birds can transition through this process. Either you accept it now or you accept it later, but you're going to accept this one way or another. Denial will only suffice until you're no longer allowed to deny, until that freedom is taken from you and you no longer have the option to believe what you want to believe and the truth hits you square between the eyes and there is no avoiding it, there is no denying it, compartmentalizing it and disassociating it from it and saying, that's just gnats and flies. It's not your level of intelligence that prevents you from being able to see that these aren't gnats and flies. It's your level of comfort with the idea of their existence because all of the implications that surround it. Like plasma fire, one of the implications of that is that there is a worldwide cover-up. All of the institutions of every country worldwide are coordinating their efforts and cooperating in their silence about the subject of plasma fire. After I've disclosed it to the degree that I have with the hundreds of videos directly from 10 different states that I've taken these videos in and then showed you the same process happening around the world in multiple countries, the implication of acknowledging plasma fire includes all of the institutions of your society working to keep you in the dark about the subject matter, and that's what makes a person so uncomfortable. They have to look the other way. They can't acknowledge and recognize this exists in our reality. They deny it a place of existence in their worldview because of everything that comes along with it. So it is with these UAP dragons. I don't want to add any more to this. Keep the video short. Latchkey Hustles link will be in the description, and he's providing a service that no one else is. In this case, he started out the video saying, I know you can't see anything because it's at full speed. Well, I could, right from the beginning. I could see it at full speed. But on many occasions, he normally starts out the video zoomed in and slowed down on the object that we're paying attention to. The UAP Dragon, the micro drone, super speed. He starts out zoomed in and slowed way down, and then he backs it up and shows you the bigger picture and speeds it up a little and a little, and eventually says, now here it is at full speed. Many a times, when he's done that process, at full speed I cannot see it. Even after he has slowed it down and showed me right where to look, what we're looking for, and the path of trajectory that it's on, once he zooms out and lets it go at full speed, I can't see it even after my attention has been drawn to it and it's been mapped out for me what I'm looking for and where I'm looking for it at, yet I still can't see it. He is performing a service that is like Inhuman, like X-Men level of eyesight. Maybe he's got the Elon Musk Neuralink implant that allows him to see at 1,000 frames per second, and he can see a speeding bullet. And even after he slows it down and shows you, look, it's right here, it goes there, right there. Okay, now let's watch it at full speed. I still can't see it. That's happened on multiple occasions. Maybe he's got some software that finds it for him, because the question is, how can he spot it at full speed if I can't even see it after it's been pointed out for me? How is he able to spot it without something pointing it out for him? Maybe he's got some software that you feed the video through and it spots the anomaly zipping through the screen, slows it down and points it out for him, and then he brings it to your attention, and he does the same thing for you that software is doing for him. He's talked about training his eyes for sports, but how much can you actually train your eyes? At some point, when he's pointing it out and slowing it down and then backs it up and lets it go full speed, and I still can't see it, that's like inhuman ability to see these things. So Latchkey Hustle is providing a service that nobody else is. And this process of initiation, incrementally exposing you to these things that are outside of your known reality, they're out of this world. Everyone is going to get thrust into the new world. Some people dig in their heels and pull back and say, no, it's just flies and gnats. That doesn't exist in my reality. Nothing's gonna change my world. Something's going to change your world real soon despite your resistance. So, I think people are going to be better off if they are incrementally able to be exposed to these things so they don't get thrown into shock once they are thrust into the new world. Because this is the end of the world as everyone's always known it. And disclosure de facto is underway through these increased exposure experiences, so much so that by the time the government finally comes out and says, yeah, okay, well, it's true, everyone's going to be like, yeah, we already know. We've been watching it every day on MB3 and on Latchkey Hustle and on Custodian Files and on all these UFO channels, so much that once they do de jure disclosure de facto will have been underway for so long it will be of no consequence. Everyone will not be surprised because of the incrementally increased exposure experiences that we are being exposed to. But some people want to look the other way and put their blinders on and whistle through the graveyard of the world as they've always known it that's already dead. It is the end of the world as you've always known it. It's just a matter of when and how you're going to be transitioned between the two states of existence that you have always known, the one that always was and the one that is now. I suggest you come willingly and voluntarily of your own free will, or you're going to be forced. Either you sign up for God's army voluntarily or you get drafted into the other one. People like to say that God doesn't use technology. And as soon as you point out a God with shape, form, and definition, they say that's not the real God. Because me and all the good people at church, we believe in a nebulous, ethereal, incorporeal, vaporous concept of God. And as soon as you show a God with shape, form, and definition, no, that's not the real God. Okay, think of it as a God with a little g, if you must. All these people that say, I only communicate with the Most High God. That's like an entry-level employee at Walmart saying, I demand to speak to Sam Walton. That's the only person I negotiate with. And all the mid-level and upper-level management, I'm too good to cooperate and negotiate and interact with them. I only interact with the Most High God. There is a line of compartmentalization and hierarchy and a pyramid of authority, and no one from the very bottom demands to speak to the guy at the top of the pyramid without going through the mid-level people. No one. That's what those mid-level people are there for, is to keep all the lower level minions from bugging the guy at the top. So these things we're being exposed to demonstrate godlike powers. We already have godlike powers. We have to redefine what it means to be God. Just the telephone. A couple hundred years ago, people describing the process of a telephone call or some FaceTime on YouTube or whatever are describing something that only God could perform, being able to speak and be heard halfway around the world instantaneously. That was God. Only God was able to do that. How about genetic manipulation, GMO? That was something only God can do, and we already have the ability to do that. As man is, God once was, and as God is, man may become. On the path of eternal progression, there are many different stages, and you learn line upon line, precept upon precept, and we're about to be transitioned between two worlds, from childhood into adulthood. And it's a very uncomfortable transition like that of a teenager. Very awkward and uncomfortable transitioning between the two states of existence. And I've already been through puberty. Once you've been through this process of initiation, you're no longer interested in what your childhood friends are still interested in, and they're not interested in what you are now interested in. You have new urges, new desires, new instincts after you've gone through puberty that your old childhood friends just don't have. So you're no longer compatible with friendships and relationships that you had growing up in your childhood. If you're one of the first people to go through puberty in this transitional phase into a new state of existence, well, it's a lonely place when all of your friends that you've always known are still running around playing childhood games. Everyone is going to get through this process one way or another. I suggest you keep up, or you are going to get catapulted into a new world, and it's going to throw you into shock. You are going to be dysfunctional in a catatonic state. Your fear and your self-preservation instinct will cause you to act in ways that are irrational, and you will have to be dealt with accordingly. But if you can acclimate to this reality that we live in now, incrementally, your fear won't kick in. You'll acknowledge, oh, okay, this ain't so bad. I guess we weren't alone the whole time, and there is a higher technology, whether it's Elysium, human beings that lived through the last reset and maintained their level of technology, the likes of which we hear in stories of Atlantis, or non-human intelligence that lives under the ocean or in Antarctica or in the hollow earth or in space or wherever it is. You're going to have to acclimate to a whole new world, a new environment, and when the full disclosure du jour happens, it is dislodging all religions, all governments, all economies, all science, and all history. It all goes out the window. Whoever's running these dragons, who controls the dragons, controls the world, and clearly it's not the mainstream establishment institutions that we think of as government. There is a hidden hand of power that's going to reveal itself. Revelation of the method, revelation of the hierarchy. That's what we're going through, and a lot of people refuse to let go of their old world and cling to it. You're going to have to lose your grip on reality in order to grasp the experiences that we're all going through.